Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, and here I am outside Freddie Mercury's last house. Indeed, this is the house where he died. So this is on Logan Place in London. Who was Freddie Mercury? Well, he was born Farrokh Bulsara in Zanzibar in 1946. Zanzibar is an island off the coast of Africa. Subsequently, Zanzibar united with Tanganyika, so that's why they took the Tan and the Zan to make it Tanzania. So he is known as Freddie Mercury, so I'll call him Freddie Mercury henceforth. He was born a British citizen. He was born into an Indian family in Zanzibar, but because it was a colony at the time, they were British citizens, Indians born in the UK's African colonies. He was a Parsi, or you can say a Zoroastrian, believed in the Zoroastrian religion, the most ancient monotheistic religion, which originated in Persia. Many centuries before, his ancestors had migrated from Persia, because it was a Muslim country, to India, where Zoroastrians found greater tolerance. India in those days, of course, including Pakistan, and most Zoroastrians lived in a part of India called Gujarat. Anyway, Mercury's parents shifted from India to Zanzibar. His father was a colonial civil servant and wished to continue his career after Indian independence. Anyway, the African majority in Zanzibar didn't always like the Indian minority, quite affluent. So as a teenager, the family of Freddie relocated here to London. They lived in, I think it's Feltham, which is some way west of here. And he went to the Ealing School of Art, which is now West London University. And someone I knew him quite well, said he was quite an unassuming young man. He was involved in the music scene, but was a little bit on the reserved side, de-emphasized his Indian ancestry, or Persian more distantly. He was very Wheatish, so you wouldn't instantly realize he was Indian. He spoke absolutely perfect English, and didn't appear to be particularly religious. He'd been to a boarding school in India, and he'd formed a band there called the Hectics. He had a severe overbite, that's like this, with front teeth much too big for his mouth, but some orthodontic work corrected that. You try making it as a rock star with the name Farrokh Bulsara, so that's why he assumed the stage name Freddie Mercury. Anyway, his band was called Queen, is one word that absolutely everybody in the UK knows, and it hinted at his homosexuality. And in the 70s, when he was a young man, although homosexual acts were legal in England and Wales, they were still very much disapproved of. So he had to be a little bit discreet about his personal life. Soon Queen were a massive hit. They had songs like We Will Rock You. They had Bohemian Rhapsody, came out in the 70s, which is perhaps their most famous rock ballad, and he wrote the lyrics and the words to many of them. Then there was Live Aid in 1985, that summer. July 85, there's a huge concert at Wembley, the English football stadium, to raise money for the starving millions of Ethiopia. And he opened that show, and his 20 minutes on stage, that set has won him rock immortality. And he also came on at the end, and he put on a crown, and they did a rock and roll version of God Save the Queen, and he strutted around wearing his British flag. Well, it was in the late 1980s, he realized that he was HIV positive, and those days antiretrovirals were not up to much, and very quickly that mutated into AIDS, so attacked his immune system. And there were rumors that he was HIV positive or indeed had AIDS, but he kept it private. Only about 24 hours before he died, he released a press statement calling on people to join with him and doctors to fight against this terrible disease. So he died here in December 1991. He left the house to a former friend of his, a woman who still lives there. It's not open to the public. You can see the full extent of the property. This is called the Garden Lodge, well, this gate. And this family was owned by the Hoare banking dynasty, as in H-O-A-R-E. But Mercury liked it to be jocose and call it the Hoare House, and he held his many very hedonistic parties here. So that is Freddie Mercury. His funeral took place at Kensal Green Cemetery, a few miles north of here, with Zoroastrian priests officiating at his rites. Now, Zoroastrians usually have their bodies exposed in towers of silence to be devoured by vultures. That's not possible in the United Kingdom or anywhere else. So he was cremated, which traditional Parsis would consider anathema, because it's dishonoring fire. As burial, they feel, is somehow desecrating the land, or putting someone's body in water is desecrating water. These are the 5 elements wind. Well, exposing a body in the wind is not desecrating the wind, so the Parsis would have you believe. Anyhow, his ashes are buried in Montreux, Switzerland, where he spent a lot of time. So that is Freddie Mercury's house. There was a lot of graffiti here, tributes are left here, but it's all been cleaned away. So there's anti-climb paint, so don't try scaling the walls. There's spikes up there.